Det er stor ære å ønske ham velkommen. Nanni Cagnone.
Good afternoon. When things go badly in practice, one turns to theory. And also the best theory ends up by producing self-censorship. In poetry, things can't go but badly. As I wrote many years ago, the poet feels the poetry like an amputee feels the phantom limb. In Cahiers de Brume, the notebook from which I read a number of fragments, there aren't convincing assertions. On the other hand, no poet can answer the questions of another poet. I wouldn't like to reduce myself to merely one thing, but in this case, I should say that I'm a poet, one who will not completely test himself if not within poetry, one who the only inconsolable activity, not in need of correspondence, and which cannot ask for any kind of orientation. One who will pass by way of the diverse consistency of an essay with the perplexity of a foreigner, convinced of lying since he finds himself having to judge, to sustain, and prefers this rather than that, and who in this that is more greedy. Shadows mirrored in other shadows, without the greater breath, or words come from waking and already tired. Too much light, too many declarations, which in a world settle discord, and which will not find peace. One hears people say, it's a perfect work. After all, this is an oxymoron, and is the source of many mishaps, one of which have been devotion. The perfect work is nothing other than the fulfillment of an institution, the success of a lengthy literary evangelization, and the consequent persuasiveness of the canon. It demands a shared idolatry, whereas is our physiological conviction that presumed perfection is something similar to an asymptomatic illness. If one really has to, then one writes, but defectively. And now we shall dedicate ourselves to that sordid thing which is beauty. One would say that over the grieved surface of life there is an 18th century piano nobile that lies above indecorous entresol. This is where beauty tends to reside, in idle days which at times make the well-off persons doubt of themselves. Not the easy beauty of girls, sunsets, and raging seas, no, but the beauty that has value, dreams money can buy. Even if I consider the origin a rightful lacuna, and relatively forgetful every word. I remember that sordid, the Latin sordidus, could have something to do with the untidiness of mourning, with the ancient impoverishing afflictions. And if becoming impoverished is the equivalent of rendering oneself despicable, then it will not appear strange that especially the plebs was sordid. Why say the beauty is sordid? To once again mystically join together what is above and what is below, or because it is always upset and false what wanted to raise, adding itself to pure existing. What is beautiful may be the sordid that carved a distinguished career, the usual parvenu, the cinema star born in a brothel, or the late compensation for an original disparity, for a mourning of knowledge. Certainly, in our mind, a leaf couldn't content itself being a leaf, and the western wind become a god. In subjecting things to metamorphosis, so that they would correspond with us, the simplicity of experience was ruined. Things which in some way had become insufficient returned in the intensity of words. They took on the altering color of pigments. This symbolic alphabetizing ended up by separating the animal, by distincting it, carrying a disproportion of the human. It generated a world apart, whose great novelty was solitude. And it inaugurated discord, natural culture, corporeity and abstraction, presence and absence. Even if tardily, beauty was invented, something distinct, superfluous, which every time would have found its canon. Beauty is an asymmetrical value, lacking reciprocity and lacking an answer. The aesthetic institutions continue to trust in their conventionality, in the academics' agreements, without considering the drama of misleading evolution. In a certain sense, they still favor that fundamental delirium which consists in substituting, reconstructing the world. The monologuing essence of culture only gives us the credit of superbness, the major presumption of which is precisely that of beauty. But one certainly cannot rewrite history. One cannot hide any massacre. And on the other hand, we have at our disposal valuable manias to which it would be painful to renounce. Nevertheless, if not wanting to make a debt of beauty, we could at least consider that it places itself within the silence of the world, due to the original lack of symmetry, and suffer as a sacred this violent non-answer. Postscript: beauty is not immune to torments. That of Venice, for example, is contested, at least during the summer, by the fear of seeing it redefined as the most esteemed open sewer.